All right, so we are all smiles once again, finally, after winning 3-0 against Southampton at the St. Mary's. There was a huge record there. We felt, or we were just praying that Ericsson wouldn't do his thing again. Breaking records. Breaking records. But some way, somehow, we went to the St. Mary's and we prevailed. One of the teams that we've beat the most since the Premier League era. It was a massive win after a very dodgy or rocky start in the first 35 minutes where it looked as if we were on ropes. A penalty against us. Andre Onana coming in and saving that penalty. The game turned on its head. After that, 2 quick goals and then a final goal in the final minutes of the game. Largely a controlled game for us, but obviously there are still concerns. A few niggles here and there, but what did you make of the game? What did you think of the game? I'm here with Kwame Njubu, as usual. We are here to dissect the game. We are going to open it apart, analyze everything that you need to know in this game that we played against Southampton, that we are back to winning ways. Our goal difference is now back to 0, no more -3. So it's a very good starting. But Kwame, great moment for us once again. Finally, we got a win. How have you been?
Yeah, I've been good. Of course, United won, so it's just adds to the kind of peace that I have right now.
Charlie, I don't know how. The football clubs, they seem to control our mood. I mean, how they make you feel in a week and everything. Suddenly, I remember when we posted the last episode, someone said, "Oh God, after seeing this episode, I know that United is going to torment me again."
I saw that in the comment section on YouTube. Yeah.
Anyway, as usual, so we'll get into the game. So remember, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell. We are so grateful to you, those who are joining this big community. Thank you very much for being a part of the community, but we still need a lot more. We are not done yet, and we can never be done. Cristiano Ronaldo is gone, 553 million subscribers. Let's give us just some of the subscribers, Just come and add up to it.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
something small. Add up to it. Be part of the community and enjoy every great content we've got for you here on United and Everything Football. Okay, so a lot of talking. Let me make a quick turnaround. When I come back, I'll get to Kwame and I'll get to know his perspective, what he felt throughout the game here on United and Everything Football. So we are back once again here on United and Everything Football. Thank you very much. As I've said, please remember to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and also like the videos. Please like. Give me at least 150 likes. If you are seeing it and you hear me talking about the likes, please hit the like button for us as quickly as possible. All right, Kwame, let's look at the game. Yesterday, I put out a tweet, I think around the first 30 minutes. People really were retweeting or reposting it. I was like, we were very, very, very poor. Let nobody lie you. We've scored 2 goals, but we were very, very, very poor in the first 35 minutes of the game. What did you make of it? What was going through your mind? I mean, we were expecting some quick fire reaction from the game. I mean, coming from international break, we had lost the game against Liverpool and all that. We were looking for some quick fire reaction. But what did you make of it when you started watching the game?
It's good you started with coming from the international break.
Yeah.
Because usually we start off with positives when we win a football game. But this time around, we're going to start off with the negatives. Because for the first 35 minutes, there was not much positive to take from the game. And it started off with the selection even before the football game.
Yep.
What was very peculiar about that selection was we saw a midfield pair of Kobbie Mainoo and Ericsson, 2 8s. I don't think we've ever seen that pairing start a game for Manchester United before. So it came out of nowhere. Many people were thinking, is Casemiro going to start after his nightmare against Liverpool, or is he going to be taken out of the firing line and Ugarte will be thrown into the deep after starring in a couple of games for Uruguay? But to everyone's shock, he went with a pairing of Mainoo and Ugarte and
Christian Eriksen, yeah.
It did not work.
It came out of nothing.
It did not work. It did not work. The reason why I say it did not work is I think what he tried to do to compensate for playing the double 8s was to make us play in the mid block, sit deeper rather than go for the full press like we've tried to do in the previous 3 games. right? So we ceded possession to a very good possession-based team in Southampton. While I was watching the game, I started hearing the stats of how they've been one of the highest possession-based teams in the league. At a point in time in the first half, they had even surpassed City as the team with most possession since the start of the season. And I was like, oh, okay. I don't think we've got off to the right start here based on the kind of opponent that we are facing and the sort of midfield pair that we've chosen. Because that midfield pair absolutely stopped nothing. They didn't stop nothing in the sense of the system wasn't set up right. But physically, players were just blowing past them so easily. And we're not intercepting anything. We're not stopping the players. They're not intercepting the balls. Nothing. So Southampton were still able to play through our lines despite the fact that we had set up in a mid-block. Our back line was the one trying to push up to sort of compress the space. But the midfield in front of them was not stopping anything. And it was a problem. In possession, those two midfielders did not do themselves a world of good. Mainu, let's be honest, Mainu was awful on the day. Many people may not agree with me, but I think he was awful on the day.
Awful.
He dallied so much on the ball when he had it to the extent that he was often pressed and dispossessed. He forced certain passes that he should not have done, but then he kept doing it. Christian Eriksen was slightly better in possession, right? But the problem is, if a pass wasn't given accurately to him, he didn't even have the legs to even chase the football. Every single pass had to be so right at him. I think that is where he is physically in terms of his career now. Every single pass had to be to his feet, else if it just goes slightly off, he can't
reach it. I'm glad you made that observation too.
He doesn't have the physical
he has to stretch his leg and he's missing the ball.
It's not there. He's just not there. And it was a problem. Then there was also a couple of players who were simply off color. And I'll mention two of them, the Portuguese duo. In our previous episode, we were talking about how players go on international duty and then they're so good for their national teams. I do not know how you can explain how awful Diogo Diallo and Bruno Fernandes were yesterday, especially in that first half. Totally off color. So you ask yourself, what is the difference between you playing stellar roles for Portugal in those two games, of which they actually start? I think Diallo scored a goal and had an assist
in the first game. Yes,
very similar outputs. And they come to Manchester United, and this is not about tactics. I've spoken about the fact that tactically even the selection was kind of off. But these are two players who do talk a lot. They talk a lot. Diogo Diallo was speaking a lot with Rio Ferdinand, with Sky Sports before the game about how we should forget about the Liverpool game. And yesterday, I have no clue what he was doing at left back. And it's not because of his position. Let's not make excuses. We should hold our players to higher standards, and these players should show more responsibility. It's not just about talking.
He's played a left back. We've seen how good he has been at left back.
That's what I'm saying. We've seen it for over a year and a half.
Exactly. So it's not about the position. I don't accept that argument.
Thank you. And he wasn't playing against a stellar winger in the league.
A young winger, a teenager.
He was making basic rudimentary mistakes you could just not understand. And see, the moment he gave away the penalty, I was just sitting there in my couch laughing. I was saying, I could see that coming from like a mile away. From the very get-go, this guy has been misplacing passes, been slow, been beaten every single time. And I'm like, where did he wake up? Like, did he just get off the plane this morning? Or what's the problem? So, fine, we can come and sit here and talk about Erik ten Hag and all that. But some players, right? Some players can't give us one good season. That's what I'm driving at. You don't do a Luke Shaw by giving us one good season and everybody is high on your train. And the next season, you completely switch off. Bruno Fernandes, you do not sign a new contract like Marcus Rashford signed a new contract a year ago.
You just switched off.
We're not going to take that. We are not going to take that from any player this season. So these players should step up. When it's on the manager, we call it on the manager. When the manager completely bottled it against Brighton in the last 15 minutes, we came to sit here and said he bottled it. Against Liverpool, we came to sit here and said he bottled it. We don't want to come and sit here and go back and forth on whether it's the manager or it's the players. Everybody has had enough time at this football club already. It's about time players do their bits. The manager does his bits. We're not going to go back and forth on this. So it was poor. But the turning point, the defining point was after Diogo Dalot gave away that penalty. Andre Onana, who is my man of the match.
Yeah.
See, moments and goals change games. That moment where he saved that penalty absolutely changed the game, turned the game on its head. Because I know how fragile this team is mentally. If they had gone down to Southampton, we may have salvaged something from the game, but I can't confidently say we would have won that game. That's the thing. Come the end of the first half, what is so strange about this football game that we played yesterday is, despite the individual mistakes I've spoken about and the setup of our midfield, which wasn't the best, I felt we still created so many chances in that first half that by the end of the first half, we could still have been looking at United scoring about 4 easy goals. Joshua Zirkzee had a couple of chances, the first one of which he should have scored. Marcus Rashford had a very similar opportunity. He should have scored, and then eventually he got his goal. We got off the mark from a set piece. It wasn't as we designed it, but some way, somehow, Matthijs de Ligt, who also needed a goal desperately after a very poor international break, got the goal for us. Got us off the mark. Rashford, like I said, got a goal, which was very, very important. And I'll speak about Marcus Rashford in a bit because I've been holding this for quite a while, but I think I need to speak more about him and what I saw from him yesterday. But even before I get to that, I just had something I wanted to say about the choice of the midfield pairing yesterday. I think the reason why he may have chosen that midfield pairing, because in as much as I say it's wrong, I have to sort of think as to why Erik ten Hag went for that pair. Right? It's just fair. Sometimes you have to know the mind of the man who is making the decisions to be able to make a call on why he's doing this and if he's wrong or not. Casemiro, I think, was just protected. He just had to protect him after the stinker that he had. And he did say Ugarte had just had a couple of sessions with the first team. I think one just before the Liverpool game when he signed.
And then he
was the last
actually came
to arrive. Exactly. The very last person to arrive after the international break for just another session. So it was only right for him to have had some minutes during the game. And fortunately for him, he came in at a point where we were absolutely cruising. Almost like how Casemiro was introduced into the team a couple of years ago when he wasn't just thrown right into it. He had to be eased in. And then finally he got a start at Everton, if you can remember. In a 2-0 win or something. 2-0, very comfortable. And he never looked back since. So I'm hoping that Ugarte gets that sort of impact bedded in slowly whilst we are winning so that it becomes very easy, a seamless transition for him. I think that is the whole idea behind it. Second half, comfortable. Absolutely comfortable.
Absolutely no threat at all. No threat.
I don't think Southampton had a shot on goal. Not even a shot on target.
Let me check. You continue. I'm checking the stats for the second half, and I'll put it up.
No shot on target after they actually missed the penalty. They checked out. They just couldn't find any way towards goal.
You're actually right. There was no shot actually.
No shot.
But they had an XG.
Not a shot off target.
They had an XG of 0.00. You can see from my projection. This is from SofaScore.
Onana was on holiday after he saved the penalty. The job was done. He literally just won us the game and just observed the game from an empty goalpost. He did nothing. We controlled it. I was going to talk about Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford all of a sudden could not put a pass wrong, was getting shots on target, was beating men easily. I should have said, oh, you know what? That's a relief that Marcus Rashford has finally got off the mark. Because believe it or not, this club needs Marcus Rashford to actually be on form if you are going to have a very good season. Because he's one of the very few players that we can actually say, oh, he's done it before. And we know he can do it again.
He should be the go-to guy at this point in our season or in our club.
He's 26 years old. See, Joshua Zirkzee has shown to be profligate already. He's missing chances he should have scored. In fact, the goal he scored is his hardest opportunity. Other easy chances, he's not putting it away. We don't really know whether Rasmus Højlund will come back and follow up on what he did last season and better it. Marcus Rashford is the one we've seen score 20 goals a season on multiple occasions for this football club. He's second or probably the joint highest earner at this football club.
True.
He can't just have yo-yo seasons. What I saw yesterday was a player who allows things to get to him. The reason I say this is You do not just flip. When something good goes for you, all of a sudden everything starts going for you. It speaks a lot about your mentality. That at this stage of your career, I think he should be able to overcome some negativity in his life, be it on social media, be it in his personal life, or be it even on the football pitch. You should develop a sort of immunity to certain things that go on around you and focus solely on football, improving, getting better. When you are knocked down, you get up and then you go again. But to allow things to get to you, that your confidence will be hit, to be knocked at this stage, it's a downer for me. I was watching him play well and I was disappointed. The reason being that you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't allow that to happen to you. At 26 years, you are entering into the peak of your football career. Your head doesn't go down when things aren't going for you. Because this is the reason. There are a lot of footballers who are actually looking up to Marcus Rashford. Especially in the team that he plays for.
Correct.
There are a lot of youngsters who look up to Marcus Rashford. They wanted to be like Marcus Rashford. They're in the team now and they want to be like him. Others are trying to get into the team just because of what he has achieved. And this is what he has achieved. He currently ranks number 11 as the top goal scorers in history of Manchester United. And do you know the players who sandwich him? They're talking about Cristiano Ronaldo in number 10. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in number 12. He is just 13 goals away from being among the top 10 goal scorers in our club's history ever. 16 goals away from scoring 100 Premier League goals. And we know there are only a handful of footballers who have scored 100 Premier League goals in the Premier League's history. He's on the cusp of history, but then you should rather embrace it and go like, you know what, after all the hard work that I've put in up until this very point, this is not the time for me to plateau or slow down. This is the time that the team should be relying on me to perform week in, week out. So I watched the last 60 minutes. No, I think it was on for about 30 minutes after his goal with some sort of disappointment in my heart because I was saying to myself, you are mentally weak. You should not be mentally weak at this stage. So he has to work on it. I don't know how he's going to work on it. Whoever is around him, whatever professional help that he needs, he has to seek for it and fix his head. Because I think the history beckons for him and he shouldn't bottle it. He shouldn't put himself in a situation where he would have to be sold from this football club out of a result of poor output. He should perform consistently and better for this football club. That's what I expect from him going on. I hope that the next game he's able to score. Since now I know he's a confidence player, it's been confirmed. What you wish for him is the next game he gets another goal, and the next game he gets another goal, and then he just flies, just like Eric Ten Hag seemed to suggest after his goal. Amad Diallo is somebody I'd like to also talk about because he deserves a lot of props. When things weren't going well in the first half, everything ran through Amad Diallo. Every single positive move ran through Amad Diallo. There are a lot of intricate play, a lot of things that went very well in our forward line, not in our midfield or defense that had problems with that. But when we did attack, everything was seamless, and it was because of Amad Diallo. He is very, very technical, but not just technical. He's just like a pass first kind of playmaker, but at the same time, he has a 1v1 threat. It's supposed to be Anthony doing this. But a couple of years ago, if you remember, we all said, Anthony and him are quite similar. Why don't we go for a different profile, probably a Rafinha or something? But we ended up with Anthony. Unfortunately, it hasn't worked out. But fortunately for us, some way, somehow, Amad Diallo has turned the corner and seems to be running the show on the left wing, leaving the right wing, leaving the left wing as a subject of debate, of which people did want Garnacho to start. But he started Rashford. I prefer it that way because I feel Garnacho coming off the bench, because we need something coming off the bench.
He excites. He's
exciting. You can't only say he's exciting. Last season, he made a bet on the right because nobody wanted the right spots. Nobody wanted the right spots. But if Amad Diallo can hold down that right spot until I feel like we have to reinforce that right spot after we cleared almost everybody else from the right, in Sancho, in Pellistri, in Greenwood. I don't think Anthony is going to make it. So we'll probably have to reinforce the right spots once more. But on the left side, if Rashford is having a stinker, you know very well that when Garnacho does come onto the football pitch, in any football game, he has this impetus, this drive, this desire to make an imprint on the game. When it doesn't work for him from the start of the game, he can totally disappear all throughout the game.
Yeah.
But if he has to come off the bench with that edge to prove a point all the time because of his mentality, you see him getting goals. He did it in the first game against Fulham, where he created the goal that we scored, and he should have scored a goal himself in just a few minutes. That's like impact. Like, they're talking about proper impact players off the bench. Against Brighton, he should have gotten us the winner. That's a winner for us. He came off the bench once more, right? He started against Liverpool and things went to shit off the
shit himself.
He came on yesterday, and he made the game easier than it actually was when he did run that centre back ragged. He got a very bad tackle. I'm very glad he did not get a bad injury from that, because that was bad.
Bad tackle.
At first glance, it didn't look like that, but on the replay, you could see it was a very bad, ill-intended tackle. But Southampton went down to 10 men, game got easy, and then he got a goal again. So you're talking about 3 games off the bench out of 4 this season, where he's either gotten a goal, should have gotten a goal, or gotten an assist. That's impact, right? Because you're saying to yourself, for your squad to be called good, it's not just about the starting 11. We've said this a billion times for so long. It's about the whole squad, players be capable of coming off the bench to come and influence the football match. So this is how I want it, where Rashford is playing well, you have Højlund or Zexi playing well, Ahmad playing well, and you have a striker you can call off the bench in either Zexi and Højlund. You have a Garnacho you can call off the wing to come and impact the game, and hopefully Anthony turns a corner, or we replace Anthony in the next window or next summer, and then we upgrade the front line. We could sort of create that balance in the front line. So that's my overall analysis of the game. At the end of the day, Kwame was a comfortable win. But then the first 30 minutes against the better side, I think that was the gamble. We took a gamble. Everything I took a gamble with the selection and everything, based off the fact that we're playing against a weak opposition. But against a better team, we can't start the way that we started.
Absolutely. That's a very good analysis there from Kwame. For me, the stats, from my perspective, the stats really threw me off. It threw me off completely. I mean, I could have expected that in the first 15 minutes. I mean, you are trying to get into the groove, you are trying to settle and all of that. But for it to have dragged to that point, for Southampton to have gotten a penalty out of, even after the penalty, I was confident we'll win the game. But now I have told you guys, I'm not just marking 3 points. I am marking performance, because at this point in Erik ten Hag's 3-year period at Man United, I'm not going to say, we won. Yeah, we won. But you see, performance brings about that sustainability that you need. I mean, when there's consistent performance, you don't, when one difficult game comes in and you're able to scrap that win, the argument is fine. But I mean, against teams like Southampton, against these lower tier sides, whose quality, Southampton's coach made mention of something. He said something, even though it was funny, it was right. I mean, he said if they had that quality that United had in the first half, in that first 30 minutes, they could have buried the game, because they had very good opportunities. They had about 2 or 3 cutbacks that players made certain decisions that didn't go their way. It was obviously down to quality. So I always say that we need to be able to put in consistent performance. That brings about that confidence that you know that, okay, we played well, we played something, and it has to lead to a result. Because when the performance isn't there, you can scrap. Look at Chelsea yesterday. They were holding on to it until a goal came. They held on to it until the last 20 minutes or 15 minutes that Maresca made those substitutions to the attack. That turned the game on its head for them. But throughout the game, they were holding on to it. The performance wasn't there. If I'm a Chelsea fan and I'm watching that, I won't be happy. Yeah, we got the 3 points. But I would understand. It's Maresca's first season and he's trying to put it. But in year 3, I won't take that from Erik ten Hag. So that start really threw me off. And I hope we're able to address that. Erik ten Hag said we had problems. He admitted it. And admitting that makes me happy. Knowing that, yes, we had problems. And we hope that that is rectified. That aside, I think it was controlled. I really enjoyed if I'm to watch the game again, I'll just cut that first 30 minutes off and watch the rest of the 60 minutes. Yes, because
the one thing we can talk about, we can say about the first 30 minutes is I got the opportunity to watch Manchester City's first 25 minutes against.
They also had problems.
Brentford. They have severe problems. I got an opportunity to watch Liverpool's first
They also had problems.
few minutes of the game. Also had problems.
See,
And then which other team played yesterday?
Yeah, it was Chelsea.
Which other big team played
Villa. Villa too had the same problems. They had problems.
Villa also started. What is the common amongst all these teams? All these teams are teams that have a lot of international players.
Yes.
Who were away during the international break.
Exactly.
We had 17 international footballers. Of the starting 11, I think only Marcus Rashford was the only one who didn't go.
That's true.
For the international break.
That's true.
So you could tell that it cuts across. It's not an excuse, but it's a reprieve.
I mean, I get it.
Our manager admitted, you know what, we had problems. When you admit you have problems, then we look into the
that's
problems.
all I know. Then we know that there's a problem.
Exactly. Then what you compare is the other teams also have problems as well. Yeah. Every other team had a problem.
Yes. So basically, that is it. So for United fans, we had that PTSD. So when the team doesn't start well, you begin to, is it the same problem? What is the problem? What is the thing? And it's not good. So we expect better starts, some controlled. And like you were talking about the lineup and
early kickoff.
Early kickoff is also another factor. You're talking about the lineup. For me, apart from the fact that he wanted to protect Casemiro, I felt this team he's trying to put this team to play in a dynamic way. There is a point where we can play the transition, and he wants to coach the team to be able to possess the ball. That is why he brought in Eriksen. Eriksen can hold on to the ball. Mainu can hold on to the ball or can keep the ball better. Bruno, we know, will give his risky passes. Yesterday, he was awful as well. Extremely awful. Now, apart from the assist he gave, nothing went for Bruno. Point where he should release passes and all of that. So I'm thinking maybe he wants, because if you watch the second half, for instance, there was absolutely no threat at all on our game. And it was one thing that really pleased me. But I felt Zexi had it, apart from the fact that he missed chances, he had one of the best games I've seen in the first 4 games that I've seen him play for us. The link-up play, dropping deep, dropping into spaces, trying to connect. There was overloading, joining the overload in one point, getting the ball, switching it over. It was an amazing performance from him. But he needs to get himself on the score a lot more consistently. But he was one of my standout performers in the game that I watched yesterday. So that's it for the game that we watched. We've discussed everything. We've discussed a few of the negatives, especially the stats and some issues that had to do, and the players having to screw their heads on. There were a few niggles. The legs had some cramp.
Oh yeah, we have to talk about that. Yeah,
the cramp from Mazraoui, I'm sure it's also a cramp. I'm not too sure. They were the medical team and some other coaches surrounded him, but I feel it has to do with a lot of the long travels and all of that. It was a non-contact issue, so I'm not too sure what it is, but we hope that these issues are resolved as quickly as possible.
Do you know the back four we ended up with?
Oh, of course.
It was PTSD all over again.
You see, if we were holding on to it, if we were holding on to the game, that would have been a problem. United would have
if we were struggling,
like some 2-1 or something, or 1-1, it could have turned anyway. And that's one thing.
Agogos Martinez left back.
Okay, eventually came
for 5 or 10 minutes. And then we went off.
We had to deal with it. But so that's it. I don't think there's anything more to discuss. But let me add up to your point on Marcus Rashford. I should have said it while you were making the point so that people get it. The mentality thing. Sometimes I wish Marcus Rashford is as cocky as Garnacho is. Garnacho fears nothing. He's like, nothing will beat me, nothing will put me down. I wish he had that, because see, the things
it's a personality issue, isn't it?
It's a personality issue. The things Rashford has done, if Garnacho had done like that's a fraction of that for the club, I mean, to have gotten that number of goals, to be part, you would see a different beast in that boy.
Yeah.
And it's a mentality thing. He believes he's who he is. He doesn't have to say. Yesterday, the moment the Southampton fans started booing him, I told myself, you have no idea. This boy will
they are dead.
He will score. He would always dare you. He would always do something to, like, I remember I had an argument with you about Enzo Fernandez. when I was like, oh, he should stop that. What was he doing to Mount in that game? You told me something. You said that these are the South Americans. That's what they do.
The South Americans are built different.
They'll rile you up so that they draw the energy from that to be able to perform. Rashford needs that. I mean, you can't hang around the players like Cristiano Ronaldo and be weak mentally.
There was this report that came out on Marcus Rashford's being a withdrawn person and being, then I thought it was an agenda. These papers, they write all sorts of things about him. But then yesterday I was like, you know what? This thing, sometimes when you have a deep affiliation towards a player, you don't tend to see things as clearly as I'm a huge Marcus Rashford fan. I've always made that public. But then I said to myself, you know what? This boy may actually have a huge personality.
Oh, yes, it
because
is.
when he's even having interviews and everything, he's not it's not chest out.
Yeah.
You don't understand. It's not cocky. It's not, in quotes, arrogance in a way. It's just more calm, it's too settled. For someone who has done so much, achieved so much, even off the field, you would expect a bit more personality from him. Right? Like you're saying, in comparison to Garnacho. But you don't get that. But sometimes, just sometimes,
you need a bit of it.
It's important. You need a bit of it.
Need a bit of it.
Yesterday, I diagnosed him. I said, you know what? It's a mentality issue.
Oh, yes, it's a mentality.
All of a sudden, he's not running into how do you just switch off from you just not knowing what to do with the football to absolutely knowing what to do with the football after getting a goal? Like, how? And you're 26. How? You've been everywhere. You've been to every stadium. You've played on every stage at the World Cup, in Champions League game. You played against big teams. You've scored so many goals against huge teams. How is it possible that when you are faced with a challenge like this, your head suddenly drops? Then it took me back to 2 seasons ago when he did start. The season before 2 seasons ago, he had a similar season like last season.
Yes.
And what happened was that after he got a goal against Liverpool, the next game he scored again, I think in the Europa League game or something, the goal just kept going. Then it ceased a bit. And after the World Cup, there was this, the World Cup he had a fantastic World Cup.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Scoring, he came up from the bench, scoring goals and all of that.
So it's almost like as if you need something to simply go for you. Like I think Ten Hag has diagnosed it. He's diagnosed him like, this guy.
The negativity is getting to him.
It gets to him. And I'm like, how? It shouldn't have. See, I get it. The last time we spoke about how a toxic environment at Manchester, it epitomizes everything I was saying on the last podcast. That a toxic environment at Manchester United, some players simply can't deal with it. And I think after Paul Pogba was the scapegoat for a long period of time, right? It's now turned into our new scapegoats. We fans, that's how we are. We have to find somebody to blame because we don't know why we are shit. We just have to find someone to blame.
Our time is almost up.
Unfortunately, he's been the one next in line, but he has to find a way of dealing with it. Hopefully things go for him, and then he turns the corner.
We'll see how it goes. But we play against Barnsley on Tuesday. Erik ten Hag was asked whether there will be a lot more changes. He said we would see. What I think he would do is to just play a lot of players into rhythm, like make them get much rhythm. So I'm not expecting a wholesale change, but I'm expecting some significant changes. Players like Mazraoui might likely sit. I'm expecting Matthias de Ligt to start because if it's cramp, you're a doctor. I'm sure it's not anything giddy. So
shouldn't be anything.
I'm sure. So he wants to play a lot of these players into form. So I'm sure it's going to be.
I hope. On contrary to what you're saying, I hope that the Leeds and Martinez don't play. It's Barnsley. Our under 21 team just
they lashed them 3-2 not too long
so
ago.
Come on, play Johnny Evans and Maguire and those boys. Keep.
we have a big game against Palace. We have a big game against Palace. But right after the Barnsley game, we'll be here again to analyze and look forward to the game against Crystal Palace. So there's a lot more back to back podcasts for you. When we come on Tuesday or when we come on Wednesday, either Tuesday or Wednesday, we will be bringing you the FPL and what people are doing. Kwame shit himself. He's already shitting himself in the FPL.
No problem. I'll recover. As always. Always.
It's always
early.
Let me see his scores before I go. Let me see. Just give me.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad. Go look at it. It's not that bad.
Let me go and look at it, and then I'll project it for you to see. Hey, Aninkra is rising. That guy.
He had Watkins and some people doing some miracles.
Watkins and some people doing some things for him.
Mazraoui at the back and all that.
Let me see. So Kwame has 44 points already. All his players are.
It's not the worst. It's not the worst in the world.
It's not the worst. In fact, the average as it stands now is 38. So you take it like that. I'm doing well.
What did you get?
So far I'm around 67. Isak is playing, so I'm sure by the time.
Oh, good Lord. This week I'm going to die.
All right, it's a wrap. Thank you very much for joining. Remember to hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell. We'll be back once again in the course of the week after the Barnsley game, and then look forward to the game against Crystal Palace and see if we can chip some United today in between, so you could enjoy a lot more content from this channel. Thank you very much. It's always a privilege to come to you. Thank you very much, Kwame. Leave your like, your comment in the comment section. We'll see you in the next one. Have a great time. Bye-bye.